are going to look at converting fractions to percentages. Before we do that, we're going to just recap on the last lesson, which was all about percentages. And I want you to think about the word percent, which we write usually like that. Does anybody know what percent actually means?
Out of 100.
Good. Per means out of, cent means 100. And I would like everybody here and everybody at home to think of at least 2 or 3 words that begin with cent that have something to do with 100. Can you write them down in your whiteboards, please? So the word cent, or the cent is at the beginning of the word, and it has something to do with 100. You write them down on your whiteboards. Quickly as you can. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and show me your whiteboards, please. Good. Right. Okay. Most people have got century. Century is what? What is century?
100 years.
100 years. Did anybody get centurion? Anybody would have done the Romans, and the centurion was a group of 100. I think it's one of 100 soldiers. I'm not quite sure as well since I've done the Romans, but centurion was to do with the Romans. And somebody actually wrote down the word cent, the amount of money sent, didn't they? Okay.
Isn't that
anything else?
American?
What about
Yes.
centipede? What's special about a centipede?
It has 100 legs.
It has 100 legs. So when you come across a word with cent at the beginning, it usually has something to do with 100. So percent is out of 100. We are going to look at converting fractions to percentages. So we're going to need that information. What do we already know about fractions? We know a lot about fractions because we've done lots of work about fractions. We know that the top part of the fraction is called the numerator. The bottom part is the
denominator.
And we can change those numbers as long as we... What's the rule? About the top and the bottom.
As long as we do the same to the top as we do to the bottom.
Same to the top as we do to the bottom. Same to the bottom as we do to the top. We can't add and subtract amounts to it, but we can multiply and divide as long as we do the same to the top as we do to the bottom. Same to the bottom as we do to the top. Okay? So we're going to use what we know about percentages. We're going to use what we know about fractions. We're going to look at converting fractions to percentages. There are some fractions that you should automatically know, because if I put a half there, I hope you would all know that that is what in terms of percentages?
50%.
50%. Ones like this are just worth learning. There's such useful pieces of information you need to learn. What about a quarter?
25.
25%. What about 3/4?
75%.
Good. 3/4 is 75%. And it's just worth learning those. Learn them, remember them, write them in your maths facts, make sure they are fixed in your head because they're really, really useful. Okay? Right, I'm just going to change the slide on the board. So, if we look at the one on the board, we've got 100 square, and 47 of those squares are coloured in. So, if we've got 47 squares out of 100, we've got 47 out of 100 as a fraction. Can anybody give me that as a decimal? We've done lots on decimals lately.
0.47.
Good. No whole ones. percentage. Remember, percent means, everybody?
Out
Out of 100. So can you give me that as a percentage? 47%. Well done. So it's actually quite straightforward. Yeah? Good. Okay. Let's look at the next slide. Okay. Now, sorry I keep disappearing from shots. Those in Willow class will know that my board is called an interactive whiteboard, but it isn't interactive. I have to keep going and changing the slides. So, if you look at the top example, we've got 3 sections out of a total of 10. So, 3 out of 10 of that shape is shaded in. But that doesn't help us to find the percentage at the moment, because it's not out of 100, it's out of 10. So what will I need to do with that fraction?
You need to convert it into 100.
Yes, it will be much easier if I convert it into 100. So what have I done to the 10 to make it into 100?
You times it by 10.
I've times it by 10. So if I've done that to the bottom, I must do the same to the top. 3 times 10 is 30. Good. Now, we can give that as a decimal and as a percentage. Can somebody give me either as a decimal or as a percentage?
30%.
30%. Good. It's out of 100, so it's 30%. And then as a decimal, we've got no whole ones, 3 tenths. Yeah? Okay, didn't really need the 0 on the end, but I'll still there because we have hundreds there. So, does everybody understand that? The next one is nice and easy because it's 3/4, and we've just talked about memorising that. And memorising that 3/4 makes 75%. To find decimals as percentages, just multiply them by 100. So if you've got 0.2, just multiply by 100. Just like the example there. So we've got 0.2 multiplied by 100, which is 20%. Okay? So if it was 0.4 times 100 is 40%. If you're not sure with questions like that, you could always convert that into a fraction. So 4 tenths, which is the same as, what have I done to the 10 to make it into 100? Times it by 10, times that by 10. And then that's much easier to do it as a percentage. So if you're not sure about that one, just convert it to a fraction and then to a percentage. Okay? Good. Right. I think we've got everything on there. Yeah, good. So the other thing you need to remember, just get rid of that for a minute, is use your knowledge of fractions. Use what you know already. So if you had a fraction such as 2/25, that doesn't help us because that's not out of 100, percent is out of 100. So let's convert it. Let's use what we've been doing already in our fractions work to convert it. What do I need to do to 25 to make it into 100?
Times it by 4.
Times it by 4. So what do I need to do to the 2?
Times it
Times it by 4, which is
8.
8. So then we've got 8 out of 100, which obviously has got to be 8%. 8 out of 100. Yeah? And it's 8 hundredths, so there's no whole ones, no tenths, 8 hundredths. Is everybody alright with that? Everybody understand? So if, for the last example, if I had for 20ths, what have I got to do to that 20 to make it into 100?
Times it by 10. Times it by 2. 25.
So how many 20s in 100? You made it, you were right.
50.
5, yeah, 5, yeah. 5 20, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 5, yeah? So we multiply the 20 by 5 to make 100. What do I do to the top?
Times it by 20. Oh no, sorry, 5.
Times that by 5, times that by 5 to get there. So I've got to times that by 5. 5 fours are 20, good. Which of course then is 20%, which is 0.2.